Let's go to the phones. Seems like it's been forever since we've spoken with our next guest, Republican strategist Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you today?
Hey, man, I'm getting by. Good morning, Chad. How you doing?
Doing great. Appreciate you joining us today. Matt, I mean, it is an absolutely crazy world. We're dealing with yet another impeachment, possibly, of President Trump. Is this a wise move by Democrats, or do they just need to move on and move forward with Joe Biden come January 20th?
Yeah. Look, I'm really, really concerned about, the president's words last Wednesday and how he's contributed to this and how he's handled a lot of these things. I however, don't really think impeachment is the right move. And I say that for a few reasons. I think first, you have to ask yourself whether impeaching someone with 9 days left in office is really a serious effort or not, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you're so the that concern is such an urgent threat to the country that you have to impeach him as soon as possible, then you don't do what the Democrats are, I guess, planning to do, which is impeach him and then hold the articles of impeachment for several days or several weeks, because they're concerned it could impact Biden's first few days in office and overwhelm, the momentum and the news of him taking over. So he's either an urgent threat or he's not. And if he is, you transmit him immediately. You put pressure on the Senate. Maybe Schumer uses emergency powers. Look, he's not going to be removed from office. Let's just throw that on the table. As long as he doesn't do anything else that really is, beyond the pale, I don't believe he's going to be removed from office. I really don't. Now, a censure resolution, I think would probably have some bipartisan support. Doesn't really do anything, but it puts members on record and says, look, his rhetoric as it related to that rally and inciting that rally was not acceptable, and we can go on record and say that. I think that would be a much smarter, move. I think the other real risk here is, and you have to think about this when you're in leadership, and that is, are you bringing on violence? Doesn't mean the violence is right, but if you have an impeachment vote on Wednesday and you have a Senate trial, January 20th, January 21st, when the Senate comes back, you could very well have violence and radicalize some Trump supporters and even make him a martyr on the way out the door. So I think you have to think about these second and third order effects. I'm not sure Pelosi and the Democrats have that capability of strategic thinking.
What about Cruz? Cruz has come under a lot of fire for his role in all of this, which, to me personally, Ted Cruz was whether I don't think Ted Cruz really believed that he was going to succeed in overturning any results. I think that Ted Cruz wanted to make a point about fraud in elections, and somehow that's now turned into Ted Cruz as part of this insurrection, and he must leave office and he must be censored now by the Senate. To me, that makes absolutely no sense.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, it's more of a question of judgment than it is a question of being part of inciting the insurrection, right? He hasn't done anything that incited a mob. That's absurd. A procedural objection in the Senate doesn't incite a mob. Now, I did say on Twitter after what happened on Wednesday, I did say that I thought it would be better if he took his procedural objection down. It would be better if he just took his objection down, right? Doesn't mean he wasn't, he didn't have a case to make. Doesn't mean there wasn't some issues with the election, but it would have been better for the country, I think, at that point, having happened what happened on Wednesday, if he had taken that down. Now, he is under a lot of pressure. Do I think he's going to be forced to resign? No. Do I think he ever will resign? No. Do I think he may get censured in the Senate, perhaps with Josh Hawley? That's a possibility. It is a possibility. Now, again, I don't know that we want to criminalize senators for, procedural objections that are within their power. I mean, that to me, I think, is really a dangerous precedent.
Yeah. Well, he still has every right to do what he did.
Absolutely. And it's a question of judgment, right? And look, here's the thing. Look, if Cruz were here right now, and I don't know if he's doing interviews right now, I doubt he is, but if he was here right now, the needle he was trying to thread, and I agree with you, was this about 2024 and showing he wanted to fight and trying to win over some of Trump's base? Yes, that was all part of it. But I think the thing that he really did believe is that he believed about half the country saw this election as not being legitimate. And he was trying to figure out, is there a way we can get on the same page where everyone can see this election as being legitimate? And so by doing a 10-day audit and finally, with evidence, answering all the questions, there's a lot of just speculation out there, a lot of just rumors. A lot of it's not even based in fact. It just spreads on social media. So he thought if we put a bipartisan commission together, took 10 days, did a serious audit in a bunch of these states and looked at what happened, we can get real answers. And at that point, it was clear that there was not enough fraud to change the result of the election. Then he believed a good percentage of Trump's base would see that and would respond accordingly. That's obviously not how it got reported. It got reported that he wanted to overturn the results of the election. That's not what he wanted. He wanted to confirm the results of the election and make it and confirm it not for him. He believes Trump lost. I know that. I've talked to him about it. But he believes Trump lost, but he also believes there are legitimate questions out there and that no one had really answered them. And even the courts, which have done some review, really haven't done the review to the extent that people can have the kind of confidence that they need. So that was his goal, which I think in some ways was a laudable goal. He just lost the sort of PR messaging war over convincing people that's what it was about. And in the meantime, he pissed off every other senator, particularly Republican senators, who had to vote on his motion. And he pissed off Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who didn't want his senators to vote on this.
Well, it's going to be interesting as we move forward this year, Matt. Tell folks, we'll cut it short this time. We apologize getting you on late. We'll get you on next week. Tell folks where they can listen to your podcast and how they can sign up for your newsletter.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a depressing week, and I did a real kind of sober conversation with Ron Christie, my friend who worked for Vice President Cheney's Republican strategist, last Friday. It's still, I think, very timely and worth checking out. My podcast is called Mac on Politics. You can find it at iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. Chad, as you know, we also do this morning tip sheet for Texas politics called Must Read Texas, where we take all the top news from around the state, put it in one clean, easy-to-read email, and deliver it to something like 22,000 email inboxes every weekday morning. I know you get it. A number of our elected officials get it. You can sign up for a free 1-week trial at mustreadtexas.com.
All right, Matt, as always, appreciate your time, and we'll visit with you again next week.
All right, man. Take care.
That's Matt Mackowiak, Republican strategist here on the Chad Hasty Show.